Let's close this out. Hi, welcome everyone to Home for the Holidays, the family to family chat. My name is Bernadette Carr. I am co-chair of the Parents Advisory Council and parent of two UMass Amherst students, Bridget, a sophomore, class of 2024, and a public health major, and then Jessie, a freshman, class of 2025, and attending Eisenberg. We are from Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts. Before we start, here are some reminders. You are muted. This meeting is being recorded. Use the raise hand feature if you have something to share when it's time for questions, and use the chat feature to ask questions, share thoughts, and connect. With me this evening are Rose Boulay, Director, Office Parent Services, and 4 Advisory Council members: Andrew Ehrlich, Dale Demento, Lynn Malone, Penny Nichols Cordero. That's everybody, and I will be your moderator for this chat while the council members serve as panelists. And of course, Rose and her staff are here for support throughout this Zoom meeting. Today we are discussing our students returning home for break. Although I have 2 students in college, thanks to COVID-19, I have not experienced what family life is like when a student comes home for break. I'm glad I'm not the only parent who's new to this experience. Thinking about what it will be like to have our students home for the holidays, well, there's a lot that's sort of running through my brain about that. And I'm so grateful to be with fellow council members, Penny, Lynn, Dale, and Andrew this evening, and to listen to their experiences. Hopefully they will guide us newbies through this whole process. So let's start the conversation. Panelists, please start by stating who you are, your student class year and majors, and hometown. And we'll start in alpha order by first name. And I believe Andrew.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Ehrlich. I'm from Smithtown, New York, which is on Long Island. My son, Joseph, is graduating in January. He is an economics major at UMass. Dale?
Hi, thanks, Andrew. I'm Dale Demento, and I live in Boston, Massachusetts. My son, Samuel, is in Eisenberg, and he's a senior this year, and he's majoring in sports management. I'm going to pass it off to, I believe, Lynn.
Hi, I'm Lynn Malone. My son Ryan is in the Honors College, and he is studying math and economics. He's graduating in May of this next year, so we're excited about that. And we're from Pauling, New York. And I will pass it off to Penny.
Hello, I'm Penny Nichols Cordero, and I'm from Woburn, Mass. And my student is a class of 2021 graduate, honors college, double major in English, social thought and political economy with the minor in education. So right now he is in an accelerated UMass Masters of Education program in Springfield. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Bernadette.
Thank you everyone for your intros, fellow council members, and thank you again so much for being here with all of us this evening. So everyone, the burning question for me this evening is, what should families expect, these first few days of our students' re-entry into family life? So why don't we start with you, Penny?
Expect lots of sleep. They will sleep a lot. They have been pulling all-nighters throughout the semester, whether they've been spending a lot of time studying, attending activities, working on projects, having fun, all sorts of new experiences. So their mental capacity is just capped to the max. They are looking forward to having some time to sleep and rest, and of course, have someone, us, take care of them. My student, when he came home for Thanksgiving, he walked in the house, scooped up his cat, and went into the living room. When I caught up with him, he was already laying on the floor, the hardwood floor, with the fire going, and the cat in his arms, and in 2 seconds, he was sound asleep. He stayed there for 5 hours, just so totally sound asleep. So if you notice they're sleeping more than you can ever recall, and at the drop of a hat, especially in the first few days, don't be alarmed. It actually is normal. The second thing I'd have to say is, don't assume that your student would want to participate in whatever activities and family engagement you plan. I know we're all very excited to get them going. We have them for 4 days, but don't assume they will be at home most nights in their room or in bed by a certain time. They've developed their own cycle. They have newfound independence. It's allowed them to come and go as they please while at college. And they already may have plans to visit and catch up with high school friends, new friends they met in college that live nearby. Great example for me was I found out that he had arranged for a Friendsgiving with his newfound UMass friends that were local. I had not planned on that, but it was great. They also will have projects to complete, papers to write, etc. for the Thanksgiving break. Some may even be coming home with the intention of taking a seasonal job to make some money for the spring semester. So as a result, there may be days where, believe it or not, you'll barely see each other, although you're under the same roof. And these activities for them will be time consuming. So it is a good idea to find out what their plans are ahead of time and plan around their schedule as much as you can. I really would have liked a little bit more heads up about the Friendsgiving, but it was all okay. And I'll end it by saying, I mentioned it before, talking about sleep, their sleeping pattern has changed dramatically. College students, it's not a myth, they do sleep late and they do wake up late. If they were early birds, which mine were, that has gone totally out the window. They spend most of the time when they are at home in their bedroom, or if my son had a special place in the family room. So your dinner time may become their breakfast time and vice versa. Just be prepared for it. I myself am in an early morning person. They weren't going to bed till 2 a.m. in the morning. So it was a big adjustment for us, especially since we still had to go to work. So that's what I would say, Bernadette, sleep.
That is a lot of really good information. Thank you so much for that, Penny. It's just nice to know to not be worried if they're sleeping so much, at least from our perspective.
Right.
So thanks again for sharing, Penny. Great info. Andrew, maybe you could talk with us a little bit about family meals and food and maybe family life in the kitchen.
Sure. Well, enjoy while they're sleeping because it'll be nice and peaceful for a little while because it's going to be a long few weeks. Well, everyone knows UMass is #1 for food. So expectations are really high right now, especially if they're on the meal plans. If your student lives on campus, they're probably used to 5-star dining. If they have a dining plan, they're used to it. If they're living off campus, they could be eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly every day. So either way, when they come home, they're going to be hungry. So my wife just went shopping today to start stocking up. They definitely going to need it. So maybe plan some really good meals. Ask what their favorite meals are when they left. They might change now that they've had, exquisite dining. I mean, steak and lobster on Halloween. So maybe ask them, what's your favorite meal? We'll make some dinners. We'll have family dinner. UMass has a cookbook app. Maybe check out their cookbook. I know when we went to my son's apartment off campus, We arrived on Parents Weekend and the dishes were higher than the sink. And he goes, oh, we eat out of the dishwasher. So all the clean dishes as they eat comes out of the dishwasher. And when the sink gets fully high, then they decide it's time to wash the dishes. So maybe just spell it out ahead of time and say, listen, we're not in a frat house. We're not in a dorm. We're not in a house. Try to, do the dishes as you're cooking, as you're eating, just spell it out and remind them, we're all in this together. If you have, one person, two person, three people, we're all together in a house. So, the dishwasher's right there. The soap is right there. Everybody pitches in. It will kind of be a lot easier. So if you let them know the expectations ahead of time, remind them, 6 months, 3-4 months away, they forget a lot of things and they're used to being on their own. Bernadette, that was great. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks for that, Andrew. It's great information. I don't know about anybody else, but I do like a clean kitchen. And so I'm thinking about that a lot. So thank you for that. Dale, please share, if you could, some of your experiences with us regarding your student, sharing new ideas and new perspectives with you. As we all know, college is this mind-opening experience. So how are those conversations going when they return to home?
Of course, I'd be happy to. This is my youngest child. I have 4, so I kind of have a little knowledge from all of them, all the way down, Bernadette. But with all of your children, I call them children, our students out there, college is a time for them to explore new ideas, whether they're socially, political, sexual orientations or new things around them that are happening, conversations about drugs and alcohol. I mean, there's that whole big gamut that I think as parents, we all have to be aware of. What, they used to believe in may not be the same thing as they come home believing in now, or having their mind open to it, to other kinds of ideas and things about social justice. And, some of the things I've mentioned it, politically, social, all of that. So keeping all of that prevalent in this conversation, I think the biggest thing is respect. When your child comes at you with something new or something that may be shocking, or they're trying to, have this new idea on something, or undecided where they are, I think we need to respect what they're saying. I think we need to let them know we're completely open to hearing everything they have to say, and don't shut them down. That would be the biggest thing I could give parents. It may not be your view, may not be what you want to hear them say, but take the time to listen. And the other thing I think I'd add to all of this is, from a personal standpoint of view, with siblings, and if you have a sibling out there, they become very impressionable because all of a sudden it's their, college age sibling coming home and, hey, maybe this is the right way. So try to segue yourself with your child that's at college and say, hey, maybe you and I'd love to sit and have either a cup of coffee or, go out or whatever, kind of set those boundaries as to where those conversations could come in, to hopefully not have everybody influenced and then everybody get involved. And it becomes a huge kind of an idea around that. But other than that, I think, it's important that we show them that respect and show them that we're excited about what they're learning and what they want to, explore. So I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dale. Really, that's just such great information. My own personal experience, even just little quick visits that have happened before this big coming home break moment, you are taken aback by new moments where you talk with them, and it's important to not feel defensive, and to your point, to reinforce your point, just to be open and listening, and then just show that you appreciate their perspective. And again, as you said, to be supportive and encouraging. So thank you so much, Dale. And then Lynn, maybe you could share an experience or experiences you've had with your student, maybe possibly wanting to return to campus early, or maybe wanting to linger at home. Curious about that.
Yeah, so, you'll be very happy to have your student home. It's been quite a while if you didn't see them since even Columbus Day. It's been a little bit of time since you've seen them. So you'll be thrilled to have them home. And, in the first few days will be just amazing because everybody's, well, happy to be together. But then, they're going to start probably missing their friends at college, missing their college routine, the things that they were doing there, and they'll be ready to get back to school. And, this is, something that, you have to be ready for because you've been waiting for them, and they may be kind of pining for another place, which you're not used to. Creating a routine that's similar to what they have at school might help. My house turns into basically a college dorm when my son comes home because our hours change. He eats dinner at midnight and breakfast at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But the other part is, while some of them may be anxious to get back to campus, some might be home and be real happy to be there. And if they haven't had a great time adjusting, like my son did, freshman year was a little rough for him. And I was kind of worried that the conversation was going to happen where he was just going to come downstairs and say, I'm not going back. He never did. Luckily, he's now planning grad school at UMass. So, things definitely got better even with a year and a half home for COVID. But, you really have to be ready for those conversations also.
Thank you so much for that insight, Lynn. My own personal experiences, again, with sort of small dashes home, being in state and all, it has fluctuated, I've noticed, where they can't wait to get back to campus, but then sometimes they're lingering. And even for those short visits, again, you just have to sort of take a deep breath and just sort of, again, be supportive and guide them so that they feel good. So thank you for sharing your story with us, Lynn. So helpful. And to everybody, these are all certainly great topics for all of us to keep in mind. But the question I have now is, so how do we deal with these situations? How do we make the most of our students' visit back home for the holidays? How do we make it a great experience? How do we keep it positive? So I think I might turn this over. Maybe Penny, do you have some thoughts?
Yes, thank you. The first is to set expectations about the family routine. What's expected with that. With dinners, with activities, there are things that, again, treating them as adults, list what is okay to not participate in versus what is required. Just have that dialogue, set those expectations. If you want them to be available for a particular family event, let them know what family event and what's expected, what the time is. Give them time to plan their own event and be supportive of their plan. I go back to my example of the Friendsgiving, that was important. So how do I do that, or did we do that with our other plans for Thanksgiving? And that really requires, communicating respectfully. They're now young adults, so it's like planning adult to adult, as opposed to when they were in high school, you would say, well, you're doing this now, that now. That's not the conversation. It's, what do you have on your plan? This is what I have. What's going to work? So really engaging, starting that dialogue like that. So set the expectations, make sure you're clear on what's really important, as a family, and communicate. And I guess I wonder if there are other thoughts there, Bernadette.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. You're really making me think now, Penny. Gosh, you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? That old cliche. And now I'm thinking, my gosh, I need to get some things on the calendar. She's bringing up some really good points here. I have to think about this sort of time at home. It's not the way it used to be. So thank you for making me think about that. And I'm wondering, Andrew, do you have any suggestions?
I do. I have a couple.
Experience with this.
Yeah, you know what, I have three boys, two still in college, one who graduated. So actually Saturday or Monday will be the first time since August, all five of us will be home together, which is kind of nice. And we've already started talking together as a family, not just demanding and saying, hey, what do you guys want to do? What should we do? So like one night we're going to go top golf and five of us are going to play top golf for a couple hours and then go to dinner. So sort of work together with the kid, with your student, whoever's coming home, and say, hey, what do you guys want to do? You know, don't just say, okay, we're doing A, B, C, and D. We're going to see grandma. We're going, you know, kids don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be told, you know, okay, we're doing A, B, C, and D every night. So sort of plan together, make it fun, and do stuff that you haven't done. You know, I mean, most of them haven't been home since August. You know, early August, late August, early September. So really grab it and have fun, enjoy it, and keep things as normal as possible. You know, they're going to sleep late. We spoke about that before. You know, make their bed like it was when they left their house, like my kids' rooms, where I'm in one now. It sort of looks like this is when he left. It's a little cleaner. But we got the UMass gear out on the, you know, we wear our UMass gear. It shows sort of support for their school. They appreciate it sort of gives them a welcome home. You walk around UMass, everyone's in their UMass gear. So why not us? And you know, if you have younger siblings or older siblings, they're all, my one coming home is the middle son. Talk to them all, prepare them in advance about coming home and about privacy a little bit. You know, they're young adults now. Knock, you know, don't just come barreling in the door, you know, knock before you come in. You know, before you borrow stuff, ask. I mean, I know my kids ravage each other's closets and sometimes it works, sometimes they get aggravated. So just, you know, tell them, remember, ask for permission. You know, it's your clothes, his clothes, whatever. Before you come in the room, not just common courtesy. You know, they're used to being in a dorm where there's really no privacy, or in a house with no privacy. So it's kind of nice to come home with the closed door once in a while, or a little headphones on, or your Xbox on. Give them the privacy, and don't hover when they're home too much, but enjoy it, because it does go quick. Before you blink, they're going to be gone again, and then they'll be home again. So
Yeah.
that's what I recommend. You know, it goes quick, so really enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And you know, it is important to sort of understand the dynamic with all the siblings as well, not just parent to adult child, but also the siblings. So thank you for that. And it sounds like you got some fun things planned. I hope it's good. And Dale, do you have anything that you could add that would be helpful here?
I totally agree with what Penny and Andrew have said, and I'm sure Lynn's probably on the same page as we all are from having our children, you know, come home before. But I think one of the things I'd kind of like to interject is that it works the other way as well. You know, my son actually picked up the phone and called me. We in our family have a plan that every Saturday after Thanksgiving, it's a group event. We always go, we pick our Christmas tree. It's just something that we do. And he called me right away and said, Mom, I now have to work Saturday night and I really don't want to miss it. So, I mean, I think when you start that kind of thing as their first times coming home and you open up the conversation to say, this is what we do, you know, what do you want to do? You know, he said to me, can we change the day? Can we maybe do it Sunday? Or, you know, work together. That's the key thing. I really think you have to not expect that they're just going to do what they did before, or expect that they're just going to be on their own and let them be on their own. They're still part of your family and they want to be. It's just, how do we make it blend? We share a car. When all three of my sons are home, they share a car. And, you know, when one's gone and then one comes home, it's not just yours automatically because you haven't been here, you know, so they have to learn to coordinate and work that through. And again, it's, you know, I know one thing, it's kind of funny when Andrew mentioned, you know, his son's room was cleaner before, you know, now it's all done and ready for him to come home. But we kind of do the same thing. Go through, put the things in the house that they like to eat, or try to make something really special to make them feel welcomed. Like, you know, they were missed, but, you know, we're happy to have them back. So just, you know, that kind of remember that they're still your children. But again, it's that balance between child and adult when it comes to all the different sort of issues you're trying to balance out. Yeah.
Well, that's so great. And I love your story about the cars. You're making me think. So thank you for that, Dale. Hey, Lynn, do you have any suggestions you'd like to share with the group? Let me see. Is Lynn there?
Yeah.
Oh, there
Yep,
she is.
I'm
Yeah.
here. Had to unmute. Yeah, you know, so I would say, you know, just kind of making rules and expectations clear, you know, kind of negotiating the best time that they should be home at night, and what they should do if they go past curfew. You know, they're not used to having to report to anybody. You know, when they come home, suddenly there are 2 people or 4 people waiting up for them that they didn't have at school. So do they text you? Do they call you to let you know? You know, they may have, you know, significant others, and what's the deal with that? Are they staying overnight? Where are they sleeping? You know, and really discussing this together so that everybody's on the same page, I think really makes a big difference. And also, you know, being curious about their experience at school, even if you don't agree with some of the decisions that they have or their new beliefs, you know, just not rushing to judgment and letting them know that you support them, and keeping the lines of communication open are really, you know, the best thing, because you need to let them know that you're interested in learning about their college life and their new friends. And, you know, the more interest you show, the more that they'll reveal. The other thing is, you know, if you're concerned about something, you know, bring it up, you know, take a walk, go in the car, somewhere where you have their undivided attention. I know my son and I do that. We go for walks, long walks, and, you know, it's a really good time to hear what's going on. And, you know, if it's one-to-one, then they've got your undivided attention, and it's not everybody at home. You know, and if you really feel there are issues that are troubling you, then, you know, definitely contact the Center for Counseling and Psychological Health if it's mental, or, you know, the Office of Parent Services can always direct you to the right department if you have concerns. And that, you know, those are just a few of the things that were on my mind.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn. You know, the idea of taking that car ride together to have those talks, sometimes that's easier. And again, hearing your story about the long walks, that's great. And it helps me. So thank you for that. You know, wow, this has been really helpful, everyone. You shared a lot of ideas that are new to me, and I'm sure the audience, you know, they may have some questions. So let's open it up to everyone for a few questions. It looks like maybe we could take about 5 questions. So we're in Zoom call land, so please use the hand raised feature, and we'll do our best to get to everybody one by one. And also, Rose and Pallavi are going to help us make sure we get everybody's questions. And then, you know, I'm here to answer any questions as well, as a newbie too.
And if people don't know, the hand raise is under reactions, right?
That's right. That's correct.
And,
thank you for that, Lynn.
Bernadette, in the meantime, we have Amy Wagner who asked a question.
Okay.
I'm wondering about how much traffic to expect on Tuesday afternoon when I go pick up my student. Is there a particular bad time of the day to avoid? Any tips to pick up and then dropping back off the following Sunday?
So if you're from Massachusetts, if you're coming from the Boston area to UMass, I avoid the Pike and I do Route 2, and I've never had an issue, you know, picking up, or my student have an issue when they do Route 2 and 202 coming home both ways.
We never have an issue coming from Long Island. We usually take the Bridgeport ferry over and cruise up, and it's, you know, it's pretty spaced out. I don't think everybody gets off at the same time. So we really never had any issues, and campus never seems, they do a really good job. I don't know how it works out, but we never had to wait for anything to get, you know, my son comes out, we get in the car, we use, you know, when he's a freshman, we never had to really wait for anyone to direct us or anything. The college does a really good job, and everyone is in different classes. So I think it works out pretty well. There's not much traffic.
Same thing for us from New York. We really had no problem picking up or dropping off.
And me too from Boston. I usually just try to take a look at the time frame and make it, you know, when be a little bit of less traffic coming in and out toward the city. But once I got past Worcester, I never had a problem.
I'm unmuted. Yay. Thank you. You know what I was really wondering, when we dropped off, so we dropped off for freshmen, gosh, on that Friday or it was Friday that we were supposed to drop her off, and we sat in 4 hours of traffic then. Then my next trip was on Columbus Day, and we sat in 4 hours of traffic from Boston out to Amherst. So I'm just dreading another, mass bike crawl. So I was just wondering, is there, can you think of, is there a particularly bad time? Is there a time where you just say, just don't go during that time? There's been a lot of traffic on the Pike, and again, coming from kind of 495 is where we are coming out from. Anything you can think of to avoid, like on that day or just around Thanksgiving? I mean, obviously the next day is going to be crazy, but Tuesday afternoon, I was thinking might be okay.
Tuesday afternoon should be okay. My oldest also went to school in Worcester, so I can tell you, I'm familiar with the 495. We used to actually have to pick him up and then head out to UMass, but we didn't do the Pike, Amy. We did Route 2. We caught it.
Oh,
cut
okay.
Route 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've done Route 2 before, even though I've been in Boston, and it is really probably better. Penny's right.
Yep.
All right, I might try that. I might jump up there because it was, I mean, you just never know when it's going to be atrocious, but it really was all 3 times so far. So thank you.
Poor thing.
Let's see if we have another question. Maybe Rose.
We have another one in the chat, Bernadette, and it is, I don't have my mic set up, okay? Any suggestions for making your student feel welcome at home if your student's room is no longer their room? That is, it's been converted into something else.
I would say that my student, the first thing he said when he walked into his room, because I admit I completely transformed it. It was the neatest thing. He actually took a picture of it and sent it to his newfound UMass friends. So, I don't know if you have any pets or anything like that. I think that was my saving grace, that, he was able to cuddle with his pet. And also his area that he always hung out with his friends, that I kind of kept in play in the family room. So I don't know.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I guess one thing that you can also do is prepare them for that as well. So if you have not told them, this is a good time for you to start talking about it. So they could be prepared when they come. And when they come in, they don't see their room anymore. They understand why. And then, as Andrew was saying earlier, even if the room is no longer theirs, is there a possibility for them to be in that room at some point? And then have all of those UMass gears, whatever you have available, and put it in a safe space for them that they can call their room. That way they feel that, okay, you're taking into consideration the fact that they have a new home, but then at the same time, you're giving them a space, even if it is not their regular room.
Great point, Rose. The UMass gear is always a good boost. And do we have any other questions, perhaps? Let's take a look at what's coming in.
Giving break is sort of a nice warm up for the big holiday break when they're home for a month. This is like a 5 to 7 day break. So you'll sort of get an idea of what to expect for the extra break, the long, Christmas break or holiday break. But it's kind of a nice segue between fall and winter.
So I see, thank you for that, Andrew. I just see a hand popping up now. Laura, can we unmute her? May I do that? And she can ask a question, Rose?
Yes, Laura, just unmute yourself. Yes.
She's not.
Hi, everybody. I'm from Belmore, Long Island, New York. And yes, I did the 4-hour commute to and from. Now we're going on a ferry. Now my husband is deciding to take the ferry from, not the one all the way out, the Bridgeport.
The Bridgeport to Port Jeff ferry.
Yeah, he did that because he works out east, so it was just more convenient. We actually had to pick him up because he was a little sick a couple of weeks ago. So my question is, if well, this Thanksgiving is gonna go fast, so it's no big deal, but like the Christmas week, what happens if he just wants to sleep all the time, or he just, you know, since we're all working and he may not have any like local friends, how do you keep them engaged just in case? I mean, I don't know who's this, you know, who the friends are. They might be in Massachusetts. Some of them are in different states, obviously.
Right, right. I mean,
I
hopefully.
mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's one or two kids he's coming home with, but it's not like a local kid, but it's a Long Island at least, but,
Right.
I know, if I can come on and answer, if that's okay, with a couple of my sons that went further away to school, because we're pretty local here to Boston, and a lot of my son's friends are from Massachusetts. But when they went out of state to school, they'd visit their friends or have their friends come visit. I always said, oh, why don't you invite a couple of your friends? If, you know, you've got the capability to have some of their friends come that they've made friends with at school, stay over. It's a great way to get to know, you know, their new friends as well, and let them kind of experience each other's places. So
yeah,
that's an idea.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that, Dale. My son did that as well. It actually kind of surprised me, Laura. But they did that. The other piece is he had friends that were international or, you know, out in the West Coast. And they actually, you know, did Zoom events, etc. That's why he was up till 2 a.m. in the morning. Okay. So I just would encourage him to stay active with that and let him know that that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, for him to do that. And I saw somebody asked about a curfew, you know, something that my husband and I, even now, and we have an older one who graduated a couple of years ago, but because of COVID, he's back with us. I don't call it a curfew. I just say common courtesy, you know, just like if your father's going to be out or I'm going to be out, you know, just having a sense of time of when you're going to be back, etc. I said, this is just common courtesy. That's all. So we don't couch it under a curfew. We couch it under, you know, common courtesy. It's a safety issue just to make sure. And there's always news, you know, if they want an example, you can come up with 50 of them. But when we coached it like that for both of them, they were much more receptive to it. And of course it has to be text. So that's all right.
Thank you.
If I may add something
Sure.
as well, the students right now, most of them, they have roommates, okay? So they have to negotiate things between themselves and their roommate. If they need the room for themselves, they gotta ask the roommate. Of course, they can come and go as they please, but there are certain things, if they are in the room, the roommate needs to study, they have to find a way to stay quiet and things like that. So they're all used to these type of thing, except that, okay, they know now, okay, I am at home, I can do whatever I want. So you can always remind them and say, you have to negotiate with your roommate, just like you have to negotiate with us. So that they can understand that, okay, this isn't something new you're telling me to do, but this is something that I'm currently doing, but in a different format that I need to do it now.
Right. Okay.
I know the first question also was asking about what if they sleep too much? I mean, you know your student best, you know if they used to sleep a lot or not. Like we said, the first few days, it's okay for them to want to sleep a lot because they've been out all night, they've been studying hard, doing all kind of stuff. So they will need that time to recap themselves, to find out, just to stay alive. They need that time to sleep and rest. But if you constantly seeing them, that's all that they want to do. It's been 2 to going to 3 weeks. This is all that they want to do. Then that could be a reason to start being concerned about it and contact the Center for Counseling in Psychological Health or anybody, or also have a conversation with them about the amount of sleep. Why do you think you're sleeping that much? What do you think you can do to alleviate that? Think about exercise and things like that that they can do to try to help them to get back to a routine where they're not sleeping that much. We also have a question in the chat about the vacation time for the winter. The last day for students would be December 17th, and then they come back on the weekend of January 21st up to the 24th, and then first day of class for them is the 25th of January. So they'll have a month long
It's 5 weeks.
of break.
That's a long time. We have to make sure he works a little bit here and there.
I was
Not
just,
not as long as the year and a half we had after spring break.
Very true. Very
Yeah, we
true.
had him home for high school, so yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But
And it's also a good time to volunteer as well. So a lot of places around your location on this time would need help with volunteering, community service and things like that. So
Right.
those would be good things for them to do as well during the break.
And they
Yeah,
all
but
look
you-
good on a resume.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, he had a job, so maybe he could go back to it a little bit, you know, for a couple of days. That would be helpful, make some money.
actually, PVTA is looking for, they're doing their training if he wants to learn how to drive the PVTA bus during the
what
month of
bus?
January.
The what bus?
The
That's the
UMass,
campus, UMass bus.
Campus, yeah.
Oh.
campus bus.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have his driver's license. It got messed up with COVID, so we're working on that also.
It's a good way to learn.
Yeah, first, I think we gotta get a regular car license first. It got drivers that got all messed up with COVID, so
Yes,
we're
it
back,
did.
getting back on track.
Yep.
I will say that to capitalize on what Rose was mentioning, many organizations at the university have volunteer opportunities during the breaks, whether it's the winter or the spring breaks. As a matter of fact, when my son was a freshman, I didn't see him until November, and then I saw him for the week of Christmas and New Year's, and then he went and did a service community thing. I think he only ended up with like 2 weeks off in January. Then he did one in March, and then he stayed on campus for a job. So I actually didn't really see him for a long period of time after that. So there are opportunities there.
So if you mean like for the Christmas break, there's opportunities?
Even in January, some of the groups may have events that are going on.
You mean like the clubs at school or some
Yes.
outside?
The clubs at school, some of the community, I don't know if Lumen does. Yeah, the community organizations do as well.
They do
Oh, okay.
service groups. A lot of them do service group events.
That
Where
was
they
the
work.
word I was looking for.
And
Yes,
what's the
where
name
they
of that?
travel and they go and they work. And it's volunteer work, but it helps like a lot of the organizations that need assistance, whether it's, I know one year my daughter went down to New Orleans, another year she went to Long Island, just to help build houses, take care of people, things like that with community groups from her school.
And do they provide transportation for that around or not?
They do, and they
Varies.
put them up in a place to stay and even try to help with some food along the way for them, you know, with gift cards from different, you know, places that they acquire. Every school is a little bit different. My daughter was in a different college, but a lot of her friends were doing it. So I'm not really sure what the UMass people would do, but I do know that they do have events like that from my son's experience. Unfortunately, he looked into it and then COVID hit him while he was in college and he didn't get to do those things. But a lot of the
What
schools do.
clubs are you talking about from UMass, you know?
The clubs from UMass, no, I don't know which ones they were. I'm sorry. You didn't get to do it. I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of them was a sporting event.
I think the other thing that students usually do on this time, some students, they do it to catch up on credits or also to just take a few classes, especially if they know they're going to have all of that time and then they don't have anything to do. They will decide to take a winter session class. And the dates are also available on our website. The first day of winter classes is December 17th. They would usually give them that day off for Christmas, and then it ends like early January. So
What is
that's
the- is
also opportunities for students. if they want to graduate early or they just don't want to just sit and do nothing.
Is it a
But
remote
there is
class?
a fee, there is an extra fee associated with winter sessions. That is not their regular registration fee.
Right, but is that like a week-long fee, like, or a month session, or, and can you do it
Yes,
from home?
Yes,
Yes.
and we can put that in the chat for you when it starts and when it ends, and also the website.
That is very popular, especially if there's a particular course that they're concerned about, you know, taking with 3 or 4, you know, it allows them time to really focus.
And that, again, that would be done via Zoom, like if he came home, he could just do it
Yes.
in Zoom. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'll ask him or something. Thank you.
Hope that helps.
And there is another question.
Anything helps.
from
Thank you.
Krista. Is it possible to find a job during Christmas breaks?
Is
I
that,
think,
you mean where you're at home or on campus?
there's a lot of jobs, every community right now is looking for workers or employees, even if it's just
Yes.
seasonal. Everywhere you look right now, whether you're at UMass or you're in New York or anywhere, I mean, there's
Boston, everywhere.
everyone is looking for workers, no matter where. I mean, I have a business in Long Island. I can't find workers, and everywhere you look, there's a help wanted sign. So now's really the time if your son or daughter or student wants to work. I mean, even if it's a couple of weeks, there's jobs everywhere.
And a lot of the people will just be happy to have anybody, so they'll take somebody for 4 or 5 weeks.
100%, yeah. And that's usually the busy time for most businesses too, the Christmas, New Year's, you know, that little rush. So.
Yep.
And don't forget the walking your dog's type of job, babysitting and things like that. They're still available. And students can easily find them by just going on their online neighborhood sites because these neighborhood sites are very popular. So that's a way for them to look for some work to do as well.
Even DoorDash and Uber and Instacart. I have some of my son's friends all do that when it, you know, and that you can do as once you sign up. If you have nothing to do on a Monday, you can just all of a sudden go out and start DoorDash. And I know my son does that at UMass when he's short money. He'll just DoorDash a night or two or a day or two, and he'll be like, "Okay, I got some cash now, I'm good." And then he'll shut his DoorDash off. So it's really at your schedule.
Yeah. And I'll say one last thing, and then I'll turn it over to Bernadette so she can close the discussion for us. It's also totally normal to just give them the time to just breathe. A month might look a lot for you as a family member when you just every day you come home, you just see them sitting there doing absolutely nothing. But once they come back to school, it's going to be hard again, especially in the winter. You're not going to be able to go outside as often as they could and be as active as they usually are. So if they want to take that time just to try to just, you know, breathe and get back to normal, that is also fine, as long as, you know, there's no financial situation, financial needs where they have to work. So just let them be as well. It is part of the process for them as well. That way, when they come back, they are ready to start and they're ready to get back to working hard and do what they are here to do, which is taking care of their academics.
Yeah. If you think about it, they've been on 24/7 since they arrived in August. You know, all new experiences 24/7. It's a lot.
Also, having roommates and housemates, you really are on 24/7. There's really you don't really have your quiet time. So when you're sort of home, your room or wherever, you know, your basement, whatever it may be, it's kind of nice to veg out for a little while and not have people or, you know, craziness around you.
Oh, well, this is all great food for thought for me personally, as again a newbie who's entering into this with double trouble coming my way, 2 students at once. So I have to say you're making me feel a little less sort of overwhelmed by it, and all of my sort of let's organize things, it's sort of clicking in. So I really appreciate it. And now I want to sort of organize my thoughts around this and how to approach things and just to be intentional about it all. So again, I really do appreciate it. And Rose, is it probably time to wrap this up, do you think? Okay, so I really just want to take this time. Thank you so much for everyone joining us tonight for the Home for the Holidays Family to Family Chat. You know, thank you to everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoy your time with your student and make the most of their homecoming. And as it's already been said this evening, before you know it, your student will be heading back to UMass Amherst. And after they depart, you can congratulate yourself. We can all congratulate ourselves on a job well done. And, you know, hopefully the subsequent homecomings will certainly be easier after the first one. So again, such a pleasure. I hope everyone has a wonderful break with their families. Thank you.
Happy
you.
holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Great job, Bernadette.
Enjoy.